Okay, we will start. So आज आपल्याला MPSC UPSC दोन्ही परीक्षांसाठी पूर्व आणि मुख्य परीक्षेला इंग्लिश मीडियम. सो गुड मॉर्निंग एव्हरीबडी. ॲक्च्युली तुमच्या लेक्चर नंतर मराठी मीडियमचं लेक्चर असतं, कन्फ्युजन. So good morning everybody. Today we are going to discuss about the most important component of our GS General Studies syllabus, component of prelim as well as mains, and that is science. Many students are afraid of this subject, particularly those who are not from science stream in junior senior college. They are mainly really afraid of this subject. They are scared of this subject, but they have to face this subject. Actually, problem is what? Since school time, there is a constant fear of science and maths in most of the students. Unfortunately, many times teachers are not able to teach that subject properly, so concepts are not clear. So automatically that fear keeps on building in their mind, and after 10th, if they leave the science stream, then their contact with science subject is lost. Now in such condition, what happens? These students are not able to answer the simple questions of science or science technology. Clear? So in our lectures, our focus is going to be mainly on covering the subject of science in as simple as possible format. We will try to cover all the things in simplest lucid manner. Our aim will be to clear the basic concepts with the help of good videos and other information, so that rest of the part you can cover on your own. Rest of the part means what? So regarding this, you need to understand one important thing. Whenever we are thinking about the subject of science, we have two stages: prelims and mains. In both these levels, this science subject is going to vary. Means what? In prelims, we will face basic science. Basic science means what? It will consist of all three basic subjects. Which are those subjects? P, C, B. That's physics, chemistry and biology. Clear? Whereas in mains, we are going to study science and technology. Clear? We are going to study what? Science and technology. So what is difference between this basic science and science tech? Clear? The basic difference in both these subjects is very simple. When we think about PCB, which you have studied in your school days, if you are science background student, then in 11th, 12th also we have studied physics, chemistry, biology. So these are the basic things where we are trying to understand some basic laws, principles, some concepts. When it comes to science, technology, what is there? It is the application of these concepts in different fields. Clear? Simple example. In physics, we are going to study different laws. In that, one important is there: every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Clear? Who has put forward that law? Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Who has mentioned this particular? Newton. Newton's third law of motion. So in such condition, over here we will understand that Newton's third law and all other stuff, and we will apply that thing over here. Where we are applying this thing? We are applying that thing in space research. Means whenever we are launching the satellites, the satellite launch vehicle, this is the launch vehicle and this is the satellite part. This launch vehicle is nothing else but it is a rocket. which we use in Diwali also. Clear? So when we fire that rocket, it will rise, it will ascend against gravity. But if you have ever seen that when we fire the rocket from its tail end, tremendous gases and fire will escape. So that is the action, and opposite reaction will be in upward direction, which will push that launch vehicle in upward direction. So when we are going to study space research, whenever we study defense research, in both, in space research, launch of satellites, in defense research, there is launch of missiles. Both is going to be against gravity. So on what basic principle they are going to work, that we need to understand from basic science. If your concepts of basic science are clear, then only you can understand it over here very well. So our strategy will be to cover both these components simultaneously. See, this component is only for prelims. In mains, they are not going to ask questions on physics, chemistry, and biology. In mains, they are going to ask question on the applied part. Application of basic science is the science technology. In prelims also, they can frame questions on science technology. But in what format? In prelims, if questions are going to be there on science tech, those will be purely from current perspective. If recently NASA or ISRO or any other space agency has achieved something, have done something new great, then that is part of current events. So under current event section, there can be a question on science technology in prelims. About the hardcore part, conceptual part of science technology, question is going to be in mains. Means on what principle, on what system, on what methods a particular technology works. That is the hardcore part, basic part of this science technology, which will be covered in mains syllabus and not in prelim syllabus. Clear? So this will be the condition of questions in both the levels. And of course we should not forget about the interview. In interview also, they are going to frame questions. Now interview is such thing which is limitless. Matlab kya? In interview they can ask questions on any damn thing. They can ask on basic principles, they can ask on technology part. But probability is that if you are belonging to science background, especially engineering students, then definitely they are going to face questions related to science technology part, especially of their branch. Clear? So if you are a mechanical engineer, basic concepts of your mechanical engineering, what technology, how it works, all those things you should know very well. From that, they can enter in basic science also. But if you are not belonging to engineering background, it is less likely that they will frame question. But if you are a doctor, medical graduate, then definitely this component is going to be there, biology component and related part in science technology. Basic things of biology, simplest thing is what? Study of cell, study of tissue, cell organelles, etc. All these things, from that to the study of human body, important animals, plants, etc. All these things are going to be covered in biology, which will be applied over here in the form of biotechnology. So whenever you are trying to understand biotechnology, you just needs to know, you just needs to understand basic things of biology. So if you are from medical field, definitely they are going to ask questions related to this. So again, at interview level, depending upon your graduation. Clear? And second thing, current events. If recently anything new or a very strange thing has been happened, discovered in science technology field, maybe in India or outside India, they are going to frame questions. First they will start from current perspective, what is this, what is that news, etc. And then slowly they will enter in the technology and basic concept of that particular event. So before facing the interview, you should take a proper review of current events of at least 1.5 years. In that 1.5 year, whatever current events have occurred related to science, they will be asked by these people. So current related part, its technology related part, and its basic science related part. All these three steps you should clear, and then you should face the interview. Clear? So this should be your strategy. These are the basic components of that subject. Clear? Now slowly, steadily, we will cover each and every component of all these things. Just for sake of convenience, we will divide this subject matter into four components. First, study of physics. Second, study of chemistry. Third, study of biology. And fourth, study of science technology. Now, what will be our approach in our classes? Just try to understand that thing. This is going to be the approach. What it means, whenever we are going to start a particular component from science technology, for example, we are going to discuss about nuclear science. Nuclear science deals with the nuclear reactions like nuclear fusion, nuclear fission, etc. Depending on that, we have developed nuclear reactors, we have developed nuclear weapons, we have manufactured various other technologies, we are using nuclear medicines, we are using those artificial isotopes in food preservation, treatment of cancer and other diseases, etc. etc. This science technology related part is quite crucial. It is very important in present condition. But to understand that part, first your basic knowledge should be clear. Means what? First thing, element. It will consist of atoms. Atoms will consist of nucleus. Then three components will be there: protons, neutrons, electrons. These are the basic things. In this nature, we have around 97 naturally occurring elements and few man-made elements. Every element will have a smallest component termed as atom. In that atom, there will be nucleus. In the nucleus, there will be protons and neutrons. And in surrounding shells, electrons will be revolving. So all these protons, neutrons, electrons, what are they? What are their properties? Now, from this understanding, we will switch to one more important thing: radioactive elements. Now, these elements are going to be different from the regular elements because these elements will be emitting alpha, beta, and gamma radiation from their nucleus, which makes them radioactive. So, from the normal structure of atom or element, how atoms of radioactive element are different, that thing first we needs to understand. If we are able to understand that thing, what is the difference between regular element and radioactive element, then what will happen? We will able to understand their nature, and from their nature we will able to understand what are isotopes, isobars, etc. If we understand this, then we will able to understand two different reaction: nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. If we are able to understand all these things, nuclear fission, fusion, then we will able to understand use of this as weapons and for peaceful purpose. Clear? Regarding this, there are few experiments which are going on in the world. So what are those experiments? So try to understand this link. First we have to clear the basic concept from basic physics or basic chemistry or basic science. So this is that concept from what? Basic science. Then slowly we are entering in its application. Actually application part starts from here. This will be the connecting link between the two components. If we are going to study in this way, then only that study will be fruitful. Clear? First we need to understand basic things about that particular technology from basic PCB. Then slowly we enter in that technology part, and then the next step will be current events. Means what? At present, what is the condition of that technology in India or in the world? What are the rules and regulation of that technology, etc. There may be some organizations working at international level. There may be some rules, regulations at international level, especially regarding nuclear research. They are. So that part will be covered in third stage. Clear? This is how we have to proceed. This is going to be our approach to study science technology. Okay? If you have any doubt about this, you can ask. Now we will just take a review of each of these components: physics, chemistry, biology, and science technology. First is the physics. Very interesting subject, but most of the people avoid study of this subject. Why? Because it is hardcore conceptual part where concepts are a bit difficult. So we will focus on clearing those concepts. But as I have mentioned you people in the very first lecture, we have to understand the syllabus of a particular subject very well. We should decode the syllabus very well, and then we can proceed. Clear? So just try to understand about this physics. In this physics we have many chapters. For example, first is the basic quantities, which we study about the measurements and etc. Then the most important chapter which actually we are coming across in day-to-day life, and that is the mechanics, then heat, then light, then sound, then magnetism, and nuclear physics. So these are the core components of physics which we have to study in this sequence: basic quantities, then mechanics, heat, light, sound, magnetism, and few more can be there in addition. Now first thing, sequence is important. We have to follow this sequence. Now in each subject we should cover all the basic components. We will cover all sub points. For example, when we are studying light, basic information about light, then we have to study various properties of light like reflection, refraction, dispersion, total internal reflection, lenses, and slowly that study will take us to study of human eye. Clear? Because this organ is related with which energy? Light energy. We are able to see the things components because our this sensor is able to sense light waves. See, what are light waves? From sun, energy is emitted in the form of electromagnetic waves. Out of these electromagnetic waves, which are of different wavelength, 0.4 to zero point 0.7 micrometer wavelength radiation can be sensed by our eyes, and that component of energy received from sun is termed as light energy. So this light energy is able to present us different properties like reflection, refraction, dispersion, total internal reflection. Now, while studying those properties, first we will understand what that property is actually. What is meaning of dispersion? What is meaning of total internal reflection of light? We need to understand what happens during total internal reflection of light. What happens? If we are able to understand that process, that phenomena, then only we will able to understand how we are using that property, that concept in our day-to-day life. For example, right now, these online students are able to watch this lecture. They are online. Why? Because we are connected with them by fiber optic cables. Internet service is mainly transmitted through fiber optic cables. Clear? These fiber optic cables are going to transmit information in the form of light energy. And when light energy is transmitted through those fiber optic cables, these fiber optic cables will consist of very thin, matlab thickness will be just like human hair, that much thin glass pipes which are hollow inside, and they are coated by certain chemicals from inside. So when light is going to pass through that small thin glass pipe, it will undergo total internal reflection. Actually होता क्या है कि when light is going to pass through that glass tube, light can escape through that glass tube. Clear? But in this case, the condition is made in such a way that that light ray will undergo total internal reflection. Now if you have understood that process of total internal reflection, then only you will able to understand how light rays can transmitted through fiber optic cables. So whatever information right now I am talking, so sound energy plus whatever I am writing over here, that is the visual thing. So that video and audio both is converted into light energy, transmitted through that fiber optic cable, and at the receiver's end it is again converted into original form. Benefit क्या है कि suppose another student is sitting at a far distant location, maybe few 100 kilometers away from me, but he is able to receive all this video audio in just a fraction of second. Why? Because this video and audio is transmitted in the form of light, and speed of light is terrific. So we are transmitting this information, whatever be the information. It can be a text, it can be a audio, it can be a video. This information can be transmitted in the form of light and with a tremendous speed, and those receivers will receive it in minimum time period. The receiver end may be in India, maybe in other country, maybe at opposite end on our planet, but they are going to receive it with the speed of light. So this is the application of one property of light. What property? Total internal reflection of light in fiber optic cable through which we are conducting the communication. The whole world is today connected with these fiber optic cables, and all these fiber optic cables, they are carrying that knowledge, that information. What we say, we are connected with internet, by internet with other countries, distant locations, etc. In this internet, mainly energy transmission takes place through fiber optic cable and sometimes with the help of satellites. But most of the common communication which is occurring in between us, whatever be the distance between two ends, broadcasting end and receiver's end, whatever be the distance, that communication is conducted with the help of fiber optic cable. So this fiber optic cable is one of the most important topic of study in science technology, in communication technology. But to understand that communication technology, we have to rely on this particular condition. Clear? So this is how we have to study. In every component, every chapter, we are going to check the same things. Clear? Nuclear physics, just now we have seen the example. What we study? We study the atomic structure, and then we study what various components of that atom, what could be the different types of atoms. Means some atoms are able to emit radiations, so they will make radioactive atoms or radioactive elements. So which are those radioactive elements, how they are used in nuclear reactors. So that thing will take us to another section. Which section? Nuclear science. So once you are able to understand this thing, nuclear fission, nuclear fusion, this is more important for us at present than this one, because this particular nuclear fission is what? This nuclear fission is the reaction which we are able to conduct. If we want to conduct it for destruction, that will be in the form of nuclear weapons, which is termed as atom bomb. If we conduct this reaction as a weapon, then that will become hydrogen bomb. Fortunately, we have not experienced any such explosion, and we should not. Unfortunately, we have experienced such two explosions on Japan, Nagasaki and Hiroshima. But peaceful use is abundant. In various sectors which we may not even imagine, we are using this particular energy. So in nuclear reactors, we are conducting nuclear fission reaction for some peaceful purpose, for civilian use, through which we are able to generate electricity, through which we are able to generate various artificial radioactive isotopes. In science technology book, you will come across the word artificial radioactive isotopes. So your mind should not stuck at that point, because you have already cleared the concept of isotopes. So you will immediately understand what are those things, isotopes, and how they are used in medical field as nuclear medicine. They are used in food preservation, they are used in agriculture sector, industrial sector, and few more. How they are used, to understand how they are used, we need to understand this whole thing first. So our objective will be the same thing. In every component, we are going to study the basic things, and then technology related to each of them. Now, regarding sound, we will, which is a very small topic, regarding sound, we will study what is sound, how these sound waves are transmitted, what is their speed. You might have seen some missiles or maybe fighter planes which are traveling at supersonic speed. Clear? So sonic speed matlab kya? Supersonic means what? Ultrasonic means what? Clear? That is in comparison to the speed of this sound. Supersonic speed is usually measured in Mach points. 1 Mach, 2 Mach, 3 Mach, 4 Mach, 5 Mach, etc. etc. So depending upon that figure, we can divide that speed. So whenever you are studying defense technology, and when you come across some statement like XYZ country has created this supersonic missile, or they have created this supersonic fighter jet, so automatically the cycle will start around that supersonic word, and you will understand what it means. If your concept in this chapter are not clear, then you are going to stuck at that particular point. Okay, so clear all these things. After this physics, the next comes is the chemistry. Chemistry is one of the worst thing which I personally have come across in my life. Clear? I cannot forget this subject, because this is the subject due to which I lost my MBBS admission. Clear? I was was not able to score good marks in this particular subject in 12th, whereas my score of physics and biology was quite good. See, chemistry is actually a quite simple subject, but the person who is teaching you this subject should able to deliver that knowledge in a right way. Then only you will understand this subject. Now, regarding our exams, UPSC and MPSC, both prelims, you will find that questions related to chemistry are usually in less numbers. Majority of questions will be related to biology, in that also human body related part, whereas in case of this chemistry and physics, numbers will be bit less. Usually physics questions are little bit more than chemistry. And in chemistry, chapters are also bit less in numbers. So just try to understand. So these are few important components which we needs to study in chemistry. What are these components? The first is the state of matter. We observe solids, liquid, gases. Other than this, there are two more states of matter: plasma, Bose-Einstein condensate, etc. So usually we are very well aware about the solid, liquid, gases, but we are not much aware about this Bose-Einstein condensate, plasma. So we need to understand them. Why? Because in present condition, their importance in our day-to-day life is increasing. In which technology, where these states of matter are used, that we needs to understand very well. Then another basic thing: elements, compound, mixtures. Then related thing is the periodic table. Various chemical reactions and bonds are formed. All these four chapters will cover your basic part. Questions related to these four chapters will be regarding the basic things, basic concepts. Now from here will come the day-to-day related part. In day-to-day life, we are using various acids and bases. When we are eating the food, we eat curd, we use lemon, we use vinegar. So all these day-to-day life food contains acid. Many times UPSC, MPSC have framed question about that. Either match the pairs, the food item, and which acid it contains, or simply a straightforward question: which type of acid is, or which acid is present in curd? Which acid is present in curd? Lactic acid. Very good. In lemon? Citric acid. In vinegar? Okay, actually we do not use vinegar that frequently in Indian food. That's why we are not much aware about the acid present in vinegar, but we are very much aware about the acid present in lemon and curd. Lemon contains citric acid, curd contains lactic acid. Clear? Then organic chemistry, it deals with the boss. Who is the boss? Carbon is the boss. Why we are calling it as boss? Because carbon is such element which is able to form compounds in maximum numbers. There are few properties of this particular element which makes it highly prone to react with other elements and form different compounds. Clear? So all these things are there where we are trying to understand what are those different compounds, how they are formed, and the most important aspect from our exam point of view is what is their role in our life. Clear? Same story over here. Majority of questions in prelims are from this particular chapter, and this chapter is endless chapter. Endless matlab what? Regarding this chapter, you will realize that over here we are coming across with multiple type of chemicals in our day-to-day life. Simple example: at our household level we are washing the clothes, and to wash the clothes we use two most common things. First is the soap, and another is the detergent powder. Both these are known to be very useful to clean the clothes. Both these substances are chemical substances, and they have certain chemicals in them. So, what are those chemicals? What is the difference between detergents and soaps? Which one of them is biodegradable, and that's why quite eco-friendly? Same way, there are different things in our life, so we needs to know about them. One more simple example: tea, chaha is one of the most common thing in our life. Maybe twice, thrice, or maybe more than that times per day we consume tea. So have we ever thought about the types of that tea? Normally we come across only two types: green tea and the regular black tea which we consume. What is the difference between them? What are the different methods of preparation of them? Same way, there are many other things, many other chemicals which we use in our life. In our interview, one of my friend was asked a simple question. The background behind that question was that just before interview, assembly elections were conducted, and this gentleman voted in election. So there was a mark of voting on his finger. So when interview was going on, MPSC interview, they asked, "Have you voted this time?" He said yes. And while saying yes, he just lifted his finger and he showed them that mark. That was a spontaneous reaction, but he did that thing. And there was nothing wrong in that, but that led to one question. Immediately, the panel member asked, the ink which we are using during voting to mark that you have done your voting is made up of what chemical? Clear? And why it is going to remain for a long period of time, even if you wash it, rub it, whatever you do with that thing, why that ink is not removed? What type of chemicals are there, which chemical is there, and what is their property which makes it to last longer? Clear? So such small things can lead to questions, maybe in prelims, mains, or interview, especially interview. Fortunately, that fellow have already studied about that in chemistry, day-to-day chemistry, so he was able to answer it very well. So what I want to say, that you needs to be very cautious. You needs to continuously observe n number of things. Now this wall is painted. When we painted this wall, there was a strong smell for few days. Have we ever thought which chemical from these paints creates such type of strong smell? What are the chemicals used to manufacture the paint? Are these chemicals and are all these types of paints are eco-friendly? We never think. This is what we have to think. Because if you come across the questions of chemistry, these questions are more from out of the book than from the book. And for that matter, you just needs to keep on observing all these things. This AC is working. Outside this window, there is outdoor unit of AC, in which there is a compressor, gas is filled in that compressor. We enjoy the temperature created by AC, but have we ever thought which gas is filled in or which gas is used in AC or in our refrigerator? We never think. So we have to think about all these things, and we have to collect all this information. Another friend of mine was asked one more question. Usually, anti-corruption bureau, when they are going to catch some person red-handed when he is collecting bribe, the notes which they are going to use in that, they sprinkle certain powder on those notes. So if I am accepting the bribe, my fingerprints will be on those notes. That powder will stick to my fingers, and then if my hand is washed, that hand wash will give the presence of that powder, which is used as evidence that I have accepted that bribe. Clear? So what is that chemical? What are those powders which are used by this anti-corruption bureau? Same way, in present condition, many times we come across about the news of NCB, Narcotics Control Bureau. They are raiding many areas and they are collecting all that stuff which we call as amli padartha or drugs or narcotics. So what are those narcotics? If news is going to be there, definitely there will be question, maybe in prelims, mains or interview. So we needs to study which are those narcotics components, from what source they are manufactured, what are their chemical names, what are their ill effects, which is the most dangerous, which are banned in India by law, etc. etc. Many times in newspaper we come across news like अफूची किंवा गांजाची शेती करताना पकडलं. So what is this afu or opium, ganja? Does this opium is used just for drugs purpose, for narcotic purpose? No, it is also used for medicine, and some part of that is also used in our day-to-day food. If you are aware about the various spices used in our kitchen, one of them is khaskhas, which is just small circular granule like structure. So from where it is generated? Clear? What is jaifal? It is going to have certain chemical. Usually we use that jaifal in puran puri, etc. But if we use it to little bit more extent, we feel drowsy, we will feel sleepy after eating that food. So why? Such multiple things come across this point of day-to-day chemistry, which we have to understand and study. Clear? होता क्या है कि when you come across, when you check the PYQ of UPSC, MPSC, especially of prelims, you come across many questions. When you read the question, you feel quite familiar with that question, but you are not able to answer the question, and you may not find answers of those questions in your traditional books like State Board, NCRT, or any other book of science technology. Then from where? The source for these questions is your day-to-day life. I will give you one advice which you have to follow strictly. For next 10 days, make a habit. In your notebook, just write down the commodities which you use in your day-to-day life. In morning, when you get up, you are going to brush your teeth. What you use? You use toothbrush, which will have plastic bristles. Plastic. You use toothpaste. What is that toothpaste? Clear? Many people use certain types of chemicals to maintain the oral hygiene. So what are those chemicals? Then you use bath soap, shampoo, conditioner. For washing the clothes, you use soap, detergent powder. For household cleaning, we use disinfectant like phenol and many other things. So in whole day, we are coming across with many chemicals. When you cook the food or when you eat the food, it is going to contain multiple things. If you are eating some packaged food or processed food, on that food you will have some chemical terms, food additives, food preservatives, artificial colors. In front of those food preservatives or additives, they might have given some codes. Have we ever thought about it? No, MPSC, UPSC thinks and they frame question on that. Why? Because those are things of current importance. Because many of these food preservatives, additives, artificial colors are quite harmful to us. They are carcinogenic. That's why in many countries people have banned them, but in India we are using them. So for a bureaucrat, it is important that what is harmful to our society we should know, and we should try to ban that thing. We should not allow use of that thing. But are you aware? You are a future bureaucrat. Are you aware about all these things? If yes, then you can crack the exam. If no, you will have to give one more attempt. Clear? So this is what is the simple thing. So I advise you people to make a list. Clear? Today is 5th September. In next 15 days you will make the list of all the commodities which we are using in our day to day life. Those commodities may be meant for consumption or may be meant for just our use, but name of that commodity. If you are using that commodity, just check the package, the bottle, whatever its container is there. On that you will find some chemical terms. Note down those chemical terms on it and try to search it, not in the books, on the Google. Then you will get quite sufficient information. Clear? If you make a list, I'm sure more than 100 such chemical things you will come across. That is what is our day to day chemistry. Questions are mainly based on that. Clear? So this is what is the study of chemistry. Try to enjoy study of chemistry. I also started enjoying study of chemistry, unfortunately, during my UPSC preparations. Unfortunately, why? Because if I would have able to enjoy chemistry studies in my 11th 12th, I would have been at different place. Clear? But there is no meaning to if but then in our life. Okay, then next comes the most interesting subject. Actually it is most interesting for me, and that's biology, study of living beings. Now this study of biology consists of study everything about the living beings. In this biology, what we are going to study? Few simple things. We start our study from classification. Classification of living beings. This classification of living beings into animals, plants, and other microorganisms is very complicated part. We will try to make it as simple as possible. Even after making it simple, it proves a bit difficult, and there can be hardly one question on that part. So we should not be much worried about that section. Other topics are quite important. Then the first and the most important is what is the cell. This is going to be the structural and functional unit of living beings. Structural and functional unit matlab kya? If we consider body of any living being, it can be the largest, it can be the smallest. The smallest structure of that living being is what? Is cell. These cells will come together, they will form tissues. Okay, these tissues will come together and will form organs. Organs will come together and will form systems, and system will constitute body. Try to understand. This is a body. This body consists of various systems: digestive system, respiratory system, cardiovascular system, nervous system, excretory system, reproductive system. These are different systems which are going to perform different roles in our body. Roles of all these systems are interconnected. If one system fails, then either immediately or slowly that system will affect other system, and there will be ultimately multi-system failure, and your takeoff is guaranteed. Clear? So we have to study each system. Just for example, the simplest and the most common system, and that system is what? Digestive system. We start from our oral cavity up to anus. It is a long tubular structure which will have different parts, and this tubular structure will receive the food stuff from over here, and from oral cavity it's crushing and its digestion starts. So at every level you will have one organ. In this oral cavity we have teeth, tongue, then the first is the esophagus, then comes the stomach, then comes the small intestine which is divided in three parts: duodenum, jejunum, ileum. Then comes the large intestine. At the end of large intestine we have rectum, and the end part is the anus. So when food passes from this system receives various enzymes. These enzymes are the potent chemicals. The first and the most common enzyme is in our oral cavity, that's saliva, thunki. We spit everywhere and spread diseases, but we don't realize how much valuable that saliva is. This saliva is very necessary, crucial for digestion of carbohydrates. In stomach, we generate hydrochloric acid. This hydrochloric acid is so much strong that if you dip your own finger in your stomach where that acid is present, this finger along with the bone can be dissolved in just few minutes. So much strong acid we are carrying over here. We have never thought about this. Now next part is the duodenum, which receives other enzymes, one from liver, another from pancreas. So again these two organs are coming in picture. So every organ will have certain features, every organ will perform certain functions, and those functions we need to study in detail. There can be some deviation in those functions, and those deviations can lead to various diseases. Clear? So we start our study from this basic component, that's cell. There are types of tissues, from those tissues, organs, systems. But now try to understand, when we are studying all these things, what we have to do? We have to study all these things for human being, plants and animals. Now actually human structure and animal structure is very much similar, and it is totally different for the plants. So for these two we have to cover in shortest possible manner, but we should cover it in detail. Regarding human beings we have to cover in detail. Are you getting the point? Are you sure? Okay. Now I will not mention all the systems on the board. I have already mentioned you people: digestive system, respiratory system, circular or cardiovascular system, excretory system, reproductive system, nervous system, then endocrines. Endocrines are those glands which generate what? There are two types of glands in our body: endocrine, exocrine. Endocrine are those who are termed as ductless gland. Exocrine are those who are termed as glands with ducts. Duct matlab kya? If this is the gland, okay, if this is the gland, this will have a tube. This tube is termed as what? Duct. So whatever chemical is generated in this gland, that chemical will be transported with this duct and will be dumped at the site of action. Clear? So these are the glands with duct. These glands are termed as exocrine, and the chemical generated by them is termed as enzymes. Whereas other glands, these are the glands, they don't have ducts, they don't have the pipe to transport the chemical generated by them. So what they will do? They have blood supply. This is a blood vessel. So whatever chemical is generated, that will be dumped in the blood. that chemical will be circulated through the whole body. इसमें क्या होगा? It will be dumped at the required place only. This gland will be close to the site of action. Salivary glands, 3 pairs are situated over here. They have ducts which open in the oral cavity. समोर आपण बघितल्याची डिश आहे का लगेच तोंडाला पाणी सुटतं. मीन्स व्हॉट? Eyes will observe, send signal, yes, biryani is ready, it is cooked. That fragrance will enter from here, signal is given to brain gives signal to the salivary gland, chala kamal laga. Clear? So they will secrete the saliva. Glands are present over here. With the duct, they will dump the saliva in oral cavity. So enzyme will not get circulated through the whole body, but the chemical secreted by this gland, which is termed as endocrine gland, and the chemical is termed as hormones. They will be dumped in the blood will circulate them through the whole body. Clear? And with that, what will happen? That chemical gets circulated through the whole body. Wherever it is necessary, it is picked up and action will be conducted. So this basic difference you have to know. अगर ये एंडोक्राइन एक्सोक्राइन डिफरेंस क्या है, what are enzymes, what are hormones, which is more potent in between them, if you don't know that thing, then your base is very weak. Clear? बाद में then comes the additional part, which are the hormones, from which gland which hormone. We usually perform the test, thyroid function test. In that we test for T3, T4, TSH. So in exam they can just mention what are these T3, T4, TSH, which gland is involved in production of this? Thyroid, parathyroid, pituitary, none of the above. This is the factual part, but you needs to know all these three. Pituitary somewhere in the skull, thyroid, parathyroid, and few more. These are the endocrine glands. Pituitary generates these enzymes, hormones. These hormones have this function. All these things should be first clear in your brain. Clear? Same way, there are few more systems like skeletal system. Our body is made up of muscles. Clear? Those muscles are going to connect our bones, and with that we are able to conduct the movement. Clear? So in that case, what happens? What are the types of muscles? There are usually 3 types of muscles: skeletal muscles, cardiac muscles, cardiac matlab heart ke muscles, and then smooth muscles. Out of these, our brain can control action of remaining 2, but cannot control action of cardiac muscles. Our respiration is conducted by skeletal muscles. So when brain gives signal, stop breathing, you can hold breathing, because brain is able to control these skeletal muscles. But can brain say to your heart, stop beating? No, it won't. Why? Because cardiac muscles are not controlled by brain. So whenever we are going to study all these things, such minute things are going to be there, which we will have to study carefully. Because हो क्या रहा है देखो कि in UPSC as well as in MPSC, especially prelims, they are framing these questions since many years, since when I was preparing, or maybe since before that. So they have exhausted. Body is not going to get any additional organ or additional system. Whatever organ systems were there on that, they have already framed questions. So now they will try to go in little bit more depth. Clear? When I was appearing for UPSC exams, they asked one question. Question was very interesting. Even though I am doctor, I had to think over that question, and then only I was able to give the correct answer. Many other my doctor friends, they were not able to mention the correct answer. In female reproductive system, in which part of that system does fertilization of egg cell and sperm occurs? This was the question. When we think about the female reproductive system, there are two ovaries, fallopian tubes, uterus, cervix, etc. But growth of baby will take place in uterus. So usually everybody thinks that fertilization process takes place in uterus, but no, it occurs in fallopian tubes. Clear? So this is the question of almost 18 years back. Since that time till today, UPSC has changed a lot. They have gone in further more depth, which you have to cover. Clear? So as compared to physics, chemistry, biology is going to be more interesting, and we will have to cover that subject in little bit more depth. Understood? So please try to think about it and accordingly study. We are going to follow the same pattern. Now we switch to the next component, and that is the fourth component, science technology. Clear? As I have already mentioned, science tech is what? Application. So this science tech will have few important chapters which we needs to prepare very well. In this, first is energy. A single word, but it is have a huge dimension, because energy is necessary for us today at every level, and we have to use this energy for almost every activity, and we are using this energy in different forms, maybe in the form of petrol, diesel, CNG, coal, electricity, or anything else. So we need to understand this energy very well. Then comes the nuclear science, space research, biotech, nanotech. Then comes the health, defense research, and few more topics are there. These are the important topics which we need to understand, and remaining topics are quite crucial. Remaining topics are also quite crucial, but they are small, so I have not mentioned them. We are not going to cover this section separately. We are going to cover it along with PCB. जो जिससे relevant है, we will cover it accordingly. For example, biotechnology is related with biology, cell, tissue, etc. So we will study with that. See, whenever we are studying cell, structure of cell, nucleus, chromosomes, genes, that will take us to genetics. Genetics will take us to biotechnology. So when we cover basic things of cell up to genes, cell, nucleus, chromosomes, genes, some basic things of genetics, this is over. Then the background is prepared for study of biotechnology. Then we will study biotechnology properly. Is it clear? Understood? So this is what is going to be the strategy for our study purpose. Is it clear? Hope you understand. So now the final thing, study material. The first and the most important thing is NCERT. I will suggest you to read 6th to 10th study of NCERT of physics and chemistry, and for biology 6 to 12th. Okay, it is ideally expected that you should cover 11th 12th biology NCERT. If it proves bit difficult to you, you can skip, but when I will teach that topic, After that, you will not find it difficult. You can easily cover that thing. Clear? So at least the required chapters you have to cover from NCERT. Clear? For physics, chemistry, 6 to 10th is more than enough, because they will provide you all the necessary basic concepts. So once they are cleared, you can easily switch to the technology part. This will cover your basic science. Then comes the science technology. For science and technology, we have different publication. We have McGraw-Hill publication. We have Spectrum publication, and few more are there. You can prefer any one of them. Okay, that will be for science technology. In English, we have very good study material for science technology, but the only thing you should take care is that whatever book you are purchasing, that should be latest edition, because science technology is highly dynamic. Every month something new is going to be there in almost every field. So your book should cover up to date or latest information. Clear? So this is what is the structure of science, and we are going to start our study of science in this way. One topic from basic science, then related science technology topic. Clear? Any doubt? Online, offline students, if you have any doubt, you can ask. Bolo. No doubt. Clear? So just take a photograph of all these things. Fast. Online students, please take a screenshot of this and afterwards write it down. This was regarding one example, what will be our study strategy, how we will correlate basic with science tech. Few important components of physics, few important components of chemistry, few important components of biology. Just a minute. Over here we have missed one important thing, that is the diseases. Clear? For all living beings, especially for human being, whatever diseases are there, we needs to understand about those diseases. And then this is for science tech. Not just 7 topics, but there are going to be few more which we will cover step by step. Okay, so this is the study material. So hope you have understood everything about the basic structure of science and science technology, and the approach, the method which we are going to adopt for study of this section. Clear? Okay, any doubt? Online students, no doubt? Great. So today we will stop over here. Tomorrow we have lecture of polity. Suraj Patil sir will conduct the lecture of polity. He will introduce you people with the syllabus and approach for the polity section. Okay? So thank you and goodbye. Tomorrow 8:30.